Coming up in this week's show, our special guest Eric Fisher shares his top app recommendations for getting and staying organised, being creative and saving time. Then later on in the show, next week's guest, author Kristen Hadid, joins us for the Precore Quickfire 5. All of that and more coming your way right now. Welcome along. You are listening to episode 174 of the Fitness Business Podcast. We'd like to thank this month's premier podcast partner, MyZone, the wearable technology that enhances paid programming and drives customer engagement. Happy June, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you wherever you are across the world. We have officially hit the start of our birthday month. Yes, that is right. We are celebrating 3 years of the weekly Fitness Business Podcast. And I wanted to take a moment to share with you why this is so important and why 3 years means so much to all of us here at Podcast HQ. Now, you might not know, but there are currently 500,000 active podcasts on iTunes. The average podcast, it only lasts 7 episodes or 3 months in total, which makes us super, super proud to be celebrating 174 episodes in 3 years. As of today, the Fitness Business Podcast has been downloaded over 230,000 times, which basically means hundreds and thousands of fitness professionals are learning something new thanks to the expert guests that appear on the show. Now, in the next 6 months, our primary focus here at the show is on topics rather than speakers. If you subscribe to the show notes, then hopefully you will have received an email that we sent recently to ask you what 3 topics you want to hear more about in the show. It is super important that you send in your feedback and your requests because we are absolutely committed to searching the world to bring you the very best experts to learn from. People that you would usually have to invest big money to go to a conference or a course to hear them speak. People like Amanda Bond, Jeb Blunt, Sean Cannell, Lisa Bedell, or Thomas Plummer. So we really, really do appreciate you taking the time to let us know what topics are most important to you as a fitness professional. And just in case anyone didn't receive that email from us, then please email me directly. You can get me at chantal@fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Now, one last thing before I introduce you to this week's guest. I quickly want to name drop a few of our upcoming guests. Now, as I mentioned right at the start of the show, we've got Kristen Hadid, the author of Permission to Screw Up. She's coming on to talk to us about managing millennials and Gen Z. We have Josh Linkner, one of the 2018 URSA keynote speakers, and he's sharing techniques to harness your most powerful ideas. We have Ben Coomer, host of the UK's #1 health and fitness podcast, coming up on the show to talk about how to be an awesome personal trainer. And to round off our birthday month, we have an incredible intensive show coming your way. Best-selling author and YouTube expert Sean Cannell is coming on to talk us through the steps of setting up your own YouTube channel. Now you can tell just why I'm so excited. Okay, so speaking of experts, let's get cracking into this week's show. Our special guest this week is social media manager for Social Media Examiner, Eric Fisher. Eric has been with Social Media Examiner for 4 years. He's got a regular segment on the show or on the Social Media Marketing podcast each week where he shares his brand new discovery in the world of apps and online innovations. He has his own podcast called the Beyond the To-Do List podcast, where he talks with real people who practically implement productivity strategies in their professional and personal lives. As I mentioned at the start of the show, Eric is here to share his top app recommendations for fitness professionals. Now, before we move into this week's interview, I want to thank this month's premier podcast partner. MyZone is a wearable technology platform that leverages personal goal setting, gamifications, and social platforms to motivate your members. Learn more at myzone.org. It's my pleasure to welcome this week's special guest, Eric Fisher. Eric, welcome along. I am so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I love your segment in the Social Media Marketing Podcast because every single week you kick off the show with like a cool new invention or something that's come out onto the market. And that was really the motivation to get you on the show today, because it feels like every single week there's a new app coming out, there's a new system that's available. It's hard to keep up with it all, and you are at the forefront of everything that's happening. So we're going to break this one down for all of the listeners. And I'm hoping you can start off by sharing with us today your top 3 app recommendations for getting and staying organized.
Yes. So there may even be some crossover here, but I'm going to try and make it, kind of simple and, I guess organized. So I use, and so here's the thing. I do want to say this. One of the things that I've learned over time as a person who talks a lot about productivity, people are asking me about like, well, which task management app should I use? And I always say like, which one will you use? And there are a number of them out there. Like I personally have landed on one that I just think is the easiest to use, which is called Things. It's actually version 3. It's Things 3 for Mac and iOS, and I use it on my Mac. I use it on my phone. I use it on my iPad, and it is just ease of use and user interface. It is the thing that I use to capture every single thing I need to do, and then it lets me organize it and create lists and different things like that. However, I will say this, like, if you're not a Mac user, there are tons of other apps out there like Todoist. Mm-hmm. That's another great one. There is Nozbe. That's Nozbe.
I do have a question for you about Things. You said that you can save anything in there. Can you save like screenshots and pictures and videos, or is it just for written notes?
It's primarily for written stuff. Yeah. Right. So. Right.
Okay, cool.
Now, Nozbe will do that though. So that is one that will do that. And again, for me, it's like I'm not necessarily looking to. For me, Things functions more as a task planner, mm-hmm. not necessarily a place where I go and put media. However, now to keep with the theme of being organized, Evernote is the second place that I use and that's where I'll drop media, I'll drop audio and video and images, and that's where I'll use as like a scrap pad or even like an audio file capture place, so that's where I keep all that. Different notebooks, different ways to capture. Again, we talked about getting things done. Mm-hmm. It's all about capturing and then not letting it pile up, but letting it be organized. And part of that organization is making the time to get organized. So, there's the weekly review where it's like, and even a daily time where it's like, I'll drop stuff in all day into the quote inbox. But then once a day, I will go in and then I will move those things to the right place, whether it's like, ooh, this is a brilliant idea for a marketing idea for someday down the road, but not right now. Well, then I won't keep that in my current workflow. I'll move it to future ideas, the folder I have named for that.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of Evernote myself as well. And there is something about the simplicity of that system that I really enjoy.
Yeah, it just really, really works. And I know there's different levels, like there's paid or, there's like a one level, there's like a premium level too as well. There's even the free, and the free actually has worked pretty well for me. So, if you've not checked out Evernote, which again, most people have heard about Evernote or have tried it before, but again, it's one of those things that like, it's just so easy to use. The ease of use there is it's just amazing. So
very, very cool. Okay. Do we have any others that fall under the getting and staying organized category?
Let's see here. I'll give you my favorite calendar. And again, this is a Mac app. It's called BusyCal. And I know, right? And it sounds like, oh my gosh, you're so busy. It's the BusyCal. The cool thing with this, and actually I use it on my phone and my desktop. And the reason I like it is because I can press a plus button here and I could literally say the words like lunch with so-and-so on Friday, May 15th, or, something along those lines. And it literally knows what I'm saying, and it will create that event right there on my calendar. And I don't need to sit there and like try to figure out where it is and type it and all that kind of stuff. Like I actually made plans with a friend of mine for lunch next week, Monday. And as soon as I got off the phone with him, I hit the button then on my phone also in there, and I said, lunch with John, 12 p.m. Monday, May 21st. And I then tapped the May 21st date on my calendar, and boom, it said, lunch, and it said 12 p.m. and it said, it just put it all in there. So it's so
awesome.
So simple. It was as if my assistant had done it for me.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I need that app. So just to clarify with that, Eric, so if I've got Google Calendar, does that automatically sync to my Google Calendar?
Yes, it does. BusyCal. Yeah, you connect your Google Calendar or any of your calendars for that matter. It is, and then it will literally sync with your Google Calendar or whatever calendar of choice you have.
Is that a free app or do we pay for it?
I think so BusyCal, I'm pretty sure it's like a one-time pay thing. It's like 20 something US dollars.
Yep.
And it's frequently updated. I can't remember how much the iPhone app was, but it wasn't too much. I mean, it was like $1 or $2 or something like that. So
that is seriously cool. I love that. Okay, let's move on to our second category, which is being creative. What have you got for us?
Okay, so when it comes to being creative, one of the things that I'm a you can kind of tell this from it kind of fits with my podcasting background is I am most creative when I'm talking. Like I may not know where I'm going, but me talking it out is me figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so for anybody that's out there like that, I have an app that is called Just Press Record, and you just press record and it starts to record you, and it records you in audio snippets. Now, what's cool about this is it's not only a Mac desktop app, and it's not only an iPhone app, but it's also an Apple Watch app.
Aha. That'll be of interest to many of our listeners out there.
Yes. So right now I'm literally looking down at my Apple Watch, and I have selected the bottom middle. Oh, I forget what they're called. One of the options there. There's like a timer. There's also my, I'm forgetting what it's called. I can't believe I'm doing that.
I can't help you
blanking.
I have one.
Complications. That's what it is. It's called a complication. And so there's a little red dot there. And so right now I'm going to press that. And so right now on my watch, I'm seeing a counter happen, and there's a big red stop button, and it is literally recording me on my end say this. But what's great is the microphone on the Apple Watch is actually really, really good. I mean, if anybody that has one has taken a phone call on there, people pretty much can't tell you're talking through your wrist instead of your phone.
That's amazing. So,
once
you've recorded that file, where does it go? Where is it stored? What happens to it?
Yes. So there's a syncing that happens between any and all of the places that you have this app installed. So right now, let me talk through the process. So that file was just recorded on my watch. It's now syncing to my phone, and it's then from my phone also syncing through to my Dropbox. So
cool.
So my phone through Wi-Fi is sending it to my Dropbox, and then I can grab that audio file when I get back to my desktop. And then, so say I've got a rough draft or an idea of something, and I'm having a brainstorming session, or hey, maybe I'm sitting down and actually talking with somebody real quick, and we go back and forth. And I recorded it on my watch, And it's just genius the way this thing syncs. And the great thing is like I can also press the record button either right on my phone and record it there, or I can't, and I can even hold my phone up so it doesn't look like, so it looks like I'm walking around talking to somebody in the phone instead of talking into my watch, and
looking like
wondering what's going on. Exactly. But also it has that same thing on the desktop as well. So yeah, being able to capture those creative ideas no matter where you are, and for me especially, to be able to talk it out and not have to sit there and feel the pressure of, oh my gosh, I have to type this and it's got to be perfect. You know what I mean? There's kind of a barrier, a creative block, if you will, that I think I get past because I'm just brainstorming and getting my drafts out of my head and into something I can work with.
And you know what? I feel like creative ideas generally come at a time that you're not sitting behind your desk and got your laptop with you. You know, so often your inspiration comes at a time where you might be out and about or in a different environment or with different people. So that's such a great app to have. And can I just go back and clarify now? Obviously, that works with iPhone. Does it work on Android as well?
You know what? I don't know. Unfortunately, I am not somebody who's cross-platform in that sense.
That's right.
But I'm pretty sure that there are definitely other memo types that sync to, Dropbox and things like that. So it's definitely a possibility for sure.
Cool. And do we know how much that app costs?
That one's not much. I think it's like $2.99, I think.
Cool. That's amazing. Okay, let's keep going. So that was just press record. What else do we have for being creative?
So as far as another option for being creative, one of the tools that I use is an app. It is called Trello. So this could also be something that's about, being organized. But what I do is again, I will put a lot of different ideas into Trello, and it's like having a lot of different note cards, and it allows you to have it almost like a giant pin board up on a wall, but it's your desktop. And there's also iOS and Android access and apps to this. And you can even use it with teams. So you as a team could even go in and you could say, oh, well, they got this far with this idea. Now I'm going to move it off that board and into another board. And, it's kind of like moving it from left to right as the progress is being made in those, creative ideas.
Tell me if I'm right with this, because I'm thinking that this is a great place to kind of collate your ideas for things like projects or presentations.
Yes, definitely. Yes, it is very much like that. I mean, again, it's like almost having a giant board on the wall that's covered in stickies, but they're laid out in different categories from left to right, and you kind of move them from left to right as they move through different phases of completion.
Wow, that to me sounds like a really amazing planning tool. And so you called it Trello, Trello.
That's correct. Yes. And it's free. And there's some plugins and some paid like add-ons and different things like that. But we use this at Social Media Examiner and we don't pay for it. So we are all using the free version for at least 2 plus maybe 3 years now. And we, all across the organization, we're using it for different things.
Oh, I'm going to check that out. I love the sound of that. Okay. Do we have anything else on the creative app front?
Let's see here. I know there may be another one I can pull out that will work well for creative. It may be as simple as just having an RSS reader filled with things that are creative inspiration, like using Feedly for that. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Feedly is basically the ability to, any website that you're interested in, you can go to feedly.com, and you just type in, let's see, for example, I'll use Social Media Examiner. You type in that name and then it'll say you want to subscribe and you say yes. And so then every time you go to Feedly, it'll show you all the new stuff that has come through from that website, every single article, et cetera. And so I go there, I do this so that way I don't have to go to every single site, site by site by site. I go to one place and then I can say, oh, here's all the new articles, and I can then, save them, share them, et cetera, right from there.
So is it kind of like doing a Google search, but through an app?
Yes, and it's without having to do the searches over and over again. You search for it, you type the name in once and then it always will make you, it's almost like setting up a TiVo for websites, where every time there's a new piece of content from that website, it will then be pulled into your feed there in Feedly.
Awesome. Love the sound of that. Okay, let's go on to our third category, which is saving time. Tell us what you've got.
Okay, so this is one that's going to save you tons of time. If you don't know about this, you're missing out. It's called If This, Then That.
Oh, I've heard of this. Tell us all about it. Yeah.
Yes, so this is this If This, Then That. And what it does is it allows you to create automated workflows for a number of things. So, for example, I have it set up. Oh, so here's one that I have set up. I have it set up so that it connects the Alexa app, or I should say Alexa, so that it doesn't activate everybody's devices. What you do is it will connect that Amazon audio device so that if I say, hey, device, add such and such to my to-do list. And so then from there, it's got a connection where it sends an email to the email address that's connected with my Things task manager system, like we talked about earlier. And it will then send that email to Things. Things receives it, and then it will place what I said as a task into my inbox. And so the connectivity isn't there for Things and Alexa to talk to each other, but if this, then that can connect them. So there's all these different connections like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and a number of different like home automation things like Hue lights and all those kinds of things. And so, I mean, you can just go in and you can start to imagine the possibilities of connecting this one service to this other service. And when this one thing happens on this one service, trigger this other thing to happen on this other service. And it's kind of mind-boggling, and it can seem overwhelming, but you can go in there and you can start to scroll through some of the examples and suggestions and even the top quote recipes that are created by people for using on these different services.
Okay, I'm going to try and break this down into a really simple example. And you tell me whether I'm on the money with this or if I'm completely on the wrong track. So what I'm thinking is, let's say, for example, I put out a social media post on my Facebook page, and I want that post to also be emailed to a group that I've set up in my Google Mail. Can I get if this then that to perform that task automatically?
Yes, you should be able to do that. There should be a way to create a recipe. So when you post to your Facebook page, that the page would then say, the connection with if this and that would notify, what was the other part? It was the email. So
like Gmail?
The Gmail, yeah, it would notify the email in the Gmail to then connect and send an email to that list.
Whoa. Okay. I'm thinking, Eric, that what we need to do with this is we need to jump on ourselves. We all need to jump on and take a look at those recipe examples that you just mentioned, because that might give us the inspiration of how it's going to be best utilized and most relevant for each of us individually.
Yes, there's so many different uses and different ways to use this. Just another example here is anytime that you post a video to Instagram, it can automatically have that video then saved to a specific Dropbox folder, so it's backed up for you already.
Oh, boom. Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, are there any other time savers that we need to know about?
One of my most incredible time savers, and this is for iOS, this is for Windows, this is for, this is all different platforms. It's Text Expander. Text Expander is basically being able to create shortcuts for large or frequently used pieces of text. So, for example, one of the ones that I do because I'm a podcaster is I have a link that I send people all the time, which is a link to my Calendly booking calendar. And I don't want to have to remember, www. whatever the URL is, .whatever / Eric J. Fisher, all these kinds of things. It's just a URL that I'm never going to remember, and I don't want to have to remember it. But what I do is I've created a snippet inside of Text Expander so that anytime I type XCAL, I type XCal, it says bloop, and that link shows up. It's pasted.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's not just for URLs though. Again, I can have any number of different frequently needed URLs set up exactly that same way. And I just need to remember what the, specific code is. And again, because it's Text Expander, I try to, and I heard this tip from somebody, start most of my snippets with an X, because then I won't accidentally type something else.
Yeah.
Because hardly any words start with X.
Yeah.
So, but not only that, but I can do full blown email replies that I always remember. I always reply with, thanks for writing me. Oh, here's one. I know. There's people who are always trying to write for Social Media Examiner where I work, and they send me email requests pitching their stuff. Well, I'm not on the editorial team, but there is a URL that we want people to go through. So it's socialmediaexaminer.com/writers. Mm-hmm. Well, for a long time, I was putting SMEW, Social Media Examiner Writers, as my snippet. Then what I did was beyond that, I added like 2 or 3 sentences. I said, thank you so much for offering to write for us. We'd love to have you. We direct everybody to this URL to propose their writings, and it goes straight to the editorial team. Here's the link, and then there's the link. And so then I type SMEW, and everything I just said just goes bloop. And it's there.
That's amazing.
So I don't have to write that. Yeah, I don't have to. It saves me minutes and hours now over the course of the amount of time that I've used just that one snippet. Imagine if you'd set up tons of snippets in here. And in fact, when you frequently type things over and over in your computer, it starts to suggest snippets for you. It says, hey, you're typing this a lot. Do you want to create a snippet for that? So it's got your back.
That is so cool. And I'm just thinking about that in the context of our gym owners and our personal trainers. I mean, so often they'd be getting inquiries from people to say, hey, I'm really interested about your training. How much do you charge, or how much is it for a PT session? That is a great way to be able to have that preset answer ready to go, that you can just do that snippet. And I don't know about everyone else, but what I have done up until today, because I'm going to get this tool, is I always go back through, okay, when was the last time that I sent the email to that person? I just need to cut and paste it. But then you end up, having to scroll through all your emails to find that last reply. And I mean, I just love this text expander. So Eric, do you put this on, is this on your desktop and on your phone? Or
yes, it is.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's the real power of it is to be able to, you know how you switch keyboards while you're on a mobile phone, your text expander comes up as one of those keyboards. So you don't have to use it all the time. But what you can do is, you press and hold and switch to that keyboard on your phone, and then all your snippets just work and they're synced through.
Oh, that is phenomenal. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite so far of all of the apps that we've talked about. Now, tell us, is there any other cool stuff that we need to know about?
I would be remiss if I did not tell you about Focus at Will.
Ooh,
Focus at Will. This is one of those things where I've been using it for years now. And what it is the best way to describe it is music that as you play it, especially in headphones, and especially when you sit down and need to, put your head down and really focus and get work done in front of a screen, especially, it is music that kills that fight or flight mechanism in your brain and that distraction, the distracted part of your brain. And it's music engineered to kill that. And it's almost like, the horses where they put the blinders on them so they don't look left or right. They just look straight ahead and they focus on what's in front of them and they go straight. That's what I kind of pretend that this is when I put my headphones on. It's like nothing else is happening now except for me and this work. And you'd be amazed at how well this works. I mean, when I tried it years ago now, and I am actually a paid lifetime member. I paid in, it's a couple, it's like $5 to $9 a month depending upon your plan. And I opted in on that, immediately. I guess it was like 4 years ago now. And about 2 years ago, I said, you know what? I'm done paying monthly. There's a lifetime plan here. And I think I put in I literally said, I'm going to invest in this. I'm in it for lifetime. And I put in I think it was $150, $200.
Yeah.
Not something, not nothing, but I figured, you know what? As long as they're around, I'm locked in and I'm done. So I use this daily.
Wow. So this is basically going, okay, I have a really important task that I need to complete, that I know that I need to focus on, and I can't afford to have any distractions. I'm going to pop my headphones in. I'm going to press play on this app. And first, what is it? Is it scientifically, research?
Yes.
How?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There's scientific research behind it. And it's the idea is that it is, again, I call it music, and it is, but it's also compositions. There's no lyrics or anything. There's no songs in here that you'd recognize. It's not, it's created music, and there are different kinds of music too. So, it fits different, modes. Like there's one in here called up tempo, and that's kind of like, electronic music almost in a sense. There's one called Focus Spa. There's one called Alpha Chill. That's the one I end up using a lot of the time. There's even classical music and even cinematic, sounds like almost like you're in a movie kind of score. But again, it's not there necessarily for entertainment's sake. It's there to preoccupy a part of your brain so that the remainder of your brain isn't being distracted anymore.
Wow. That's a phenomenal suggestion. Thank you so much for that, Eric. I love that. Are there any others before we move on to our final question?
That is, that is my thing. You can't miss it. That's my top, that is cool, so cool stuff you can't miss. So.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so let's finish off with what we call is our Fitbispiration, and put yourself in the shoes of a gym owner or a personal trainer. What would be your go-to apps for marketing?
I'm going to go with just the front brain, top of mind answer here with this. My first app would be literally Instagram. I just think there's so much of a visual component to, because again, not that it's all about the way you look when it comes to physical fitness, but come on, even if that's not what it's about, there's still that aspect to it for a lot of people. And that's, a secondary reason, or even a third reason. I don't know, depending upon what they're going for. And so people who are gym owners or personal trainers like that, you want to show results. And what better way than with a visual social media platform, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're not going to hear any arguments from me. I'm a massive Instagram fan, and one of the things that I like, the correlation from a fitness perspective, is that the imagery and the videos that you find on Instagram, I certainly haven't come across anything negative. I feel like they're always quite a positive mindset on Instagram, which I think is very relevant for our industry.
Yeah. And the other key piece there is there's this huge aspect of discoverability, especially with being able to search for hashtags or follow hashtags or even topics as they are continuing to redesign. And then recently, Facebook at their developer conference announced a lot of the tweaks and changes that they're making to the discoverability, and especially around topics when it comes to using Instagram.
Yeah, that is a great one. Well, I think that's a fantastic recommendation, and I'm pretty sure that I think most of our listeners should be on Instagram, but certainly if they want to dive into that topic anymore or want to learn a little bit more about it, I'm going to include some links in today's show of the interview that we did with Sue Zimmerman last year, who really talks about some great detail on Instagram and Instagram stories. So that is a great recommendation. You know what I love about all of the different apps that we've spoken about today? We broke them up into 4 different categories, but I feel like all of them contribute to being more efficient and more productive in the way that we work across all of those.
For sure. Yeah, there's a lot of crossover there. In fact, I'll throw it out there because I didn't mention it earlier, but you could create, like if you have a standard certain, here's the 3, 5, 6, 7, whatever hashtags that, aside from the ones that you're going to search for and discover, hashtags that you're going to use in, every Instagram post, create a text expander snippet for that.
I was just thinking that. That is such a great idea. What a time saver.
Yeah.
That's so cool. There's 2 things I'm going to do straight off the back of us having this chat today. One is get Text Expander, because I think that was my absolute favorite. And the second thing I'm going to do is check out that Focus at Will, because I am very much in need of a way to avoid distractions. And I use a method currently, which I swear by, which is Amy Porterfield's Tiger Time. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but that's what I use currently, and I love it. And I'm just thinking a combination of Tiger Time and Focus at Will could be an absolute winner. So thank you.
Oh, yes, definitely. You're welcome.
Hey, Eric, this has been so awesome. So listen, before we finish off today, we did speak very briefly about your podcast during our pre-call Quickfire 5, but just in case anyone hasn't checked out Beyond the To-Do List, tell us really briefly all about your own show.
Yeah, it's a labor of love for me. Been doing it for almost 6 years now, and got almost 250 plus episodes out there. Have lots of great conversations with lots of people, going all into lots of different aspects of the productivity, how to, balance your life, how to do, working from home better, how to get out and about and even, do something that with a friend of mine that I did called the productivity pub crawl, where you get out of the house and work from a bunch of different places all in the course of a day. I don't suggest going to literal pubs. It's more like go to different coffee shops, things like that. But I mean, you can end it. The last one could be a real pub, you reward yourself. But it's all about being more productive and being more productive in all aspects of life.
That is so cool. Well, everyone, we are going to put the link to Eric's show in today's show notes, and plus all those other links that we talked about. I'm going to do a little bit of research and find those for you, so it's nice and easy. You can just jump over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, check out the show notes for today's episode, and all of those apps and links that we talked about will be there for your convenience. Eric Fisher, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
You're welcome. This has been fun. Thanks for having me.
The Fitness Business Podcast is very appreciative of our podcast partners. Here's a quick word from one of our partners.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, OneFitStop, for their support, and we highly recommend all fitness professionals go to onefitstop.com to find out how their software will enable you to take control of day-to-day management in your fitness business. OneFitStop's scheduling, client management, programming, and payment collection tools will set your business up for success.
Precore Quickfire 5.
This week's Precore Quickfire 5 guest is author Kristen Hadid. Kristen, I am so excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to kick things off with the Precore Quickfire 5. So can you tell everyone, why do you do what you do?
I believe that I was put on this earth to help people realize their potential.
And what's one ritual that helps you become better at what you do?
I try to end every day just thinking about the day that just passed and finding things to be grateful for, so that I end my day with gratitude.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And are there any apps or systems that you use to stay on top of your workload?
I wouldn't say it's an app. It's more of a system. So at the end of every day, what I do is I think about what are the 3 big goals I want to achieve the following day. Because there's so many things that, can come across in the day and get you off track. So I wake up every morning just very clear on here are the 3 things I have to achieve in order for today to be a win.
That is so interesting, because so many of our guests talk about having a morning ritual that they absolutely swear by. But it sounds to me like you've got like an end of day ritual.
Yep.
And what's one book, podcast, or blog that you'd recommend, and why?
Oh my goodness, I have so many. So I'm going to take a spin on this question. And what I would recommend is for you to take a speed reading class. It changed my life because I love to read. And now I can get through 1 or 2 books in a single sitting. So take a speed reading class. You can get through a lot more books. You can learn a lot more. It was the best thing I ever did.
That's amazing. Can you do that online?
I'm sure you can do it online. I did it at it was a local course where I live, but I'm sure they have it online. And if you want me to still answer the question with one of my favorite books.
Please do.
Okay. So one of my favorites that I read early on in my journey as an entrepreneur was Delivering Happiness. And it's by Tony Hsieh, who is the CEO of Zappos. And it really helped me understand what culture is and what it means to have a strong and good company culture.
That is a great book recommendation. And I love your suggestion to go out and do a speed reading course, because I think that'll help a lot of people. My personal goal at the moment has been to increase the speed on my Audible.
Yes. Yes.
So that's my personal goal. So it's kind of similar to speed reading, speed listening.
Yep, exactly.
So Kristen, tell everyone what topic we're going to be focusing on during your main interview next week.
We are going to be talking about all things millennials and really engaging the next generation, as well as just general leadership and how, as a leader, you can help the people around you, help them realize their potential.
Well, I'm so excited to dive into this topic. So thank you for joining us for the Precore Quick 5-5, and I look forward to chatting to you next week.
Me too.
Before we finish off today, a reminder that all the resources, the links, and of course a transcript for today's show can be found at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Thank you so much to our foundation partner, Active Management. They have an incredible gift for you all. Their number one selling checklist is yours for free, and it will turn your About Us page on your website into a lead generating page. All you need to do is go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/active for your free download. Thank you so much to everyone for joining me for another week of the show. I will see you next week. And remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.